Well, this afternoon I asked Downing Street if David Cameron still thinks Ukip are mostly closet racists. They called back to say no, he doesn't. After that spread on social media, they rang back to say they were not retracting the original comments after all. So tonight it isn't clear what the Prime Minister actually thinks of Ukip. In between those calls, I spoke to the leader of the party, Nigel Farage, from Rotherham. David Cameron no longer believes that Ukip are mostly closet racists. Do you think he's to blame at all for what's happened?
I think the entire political class, both Labour, Lib Dem and Conservatives, have all, since we opened the doors in 2004 and said to people in Eastern Europe, as many of you that want to come can, they've all tried to dampen down debate on this by throwing out the word racist in an attempt to stop anybody having a proper conversation on this issue. And I think they now realise today that the game is up. And I'm delighted that David Cameron no longer thinks we're closet racists. I think I may even go out and celebrate this evening on the strength of that. But what we need to do now is to move on and to discuss the fact that on the 1st of January 2014, we're opening the doors to 29 million people from Romania and Bulgaria, countries that are even poorer than the previous East European countries that have joined. And I really do believe we must have a debate on this.
Do you think Britain's multicultural society and multiculturalism is a bad thing?
Depends what you mean by that. You know, a multiracial society can be harmonious, successful, and in most parts of this country it is. What we've, I'm afraid, had in the last few years are very large numbers of people coming to Britain who don't even speak English. When you have that situation, there is no chance of integration happening within our towns and cities, and we finish up with a more divided society. That is not the route for Britain to go down.
So do you understand at all anyone who says, if you hold those views, if you think there are too many Eastern Europeans in Britain, if you think multiculturalism is a bad thing, it may not be entirely good for, hypothetically, a group of Eastern European children who perhaps don't speak English very well, brought to this country, to be brought up by somebody who holds those views?
I'm sorry, we are a non-racist, non-sectarian political party.
I'm not saying you're racist. I'm
Right.
saying, based on the views you've just told me,
Yes.
about there being too many immigrants, about being unwise to have more, you know, as many coming in as there are, and about the dangers of multiculturalism, that any of that might be difficult to hear if you are a child from Romania, say.
No, not at all.
Being brought up by someone who holds those views.
No, not at all.
Might be a bit awkward for you, mightn't it?
I don't think so at all. I think somebody that holds the view that all of us that live legally in this country should speak the same language, get on together, integrate and become part of one society is actually even a stronger reason for somebody that holds those views to adopt or to be a foster parent, because they will be absolutely determined to make sure those children learn the language and flourish at school.
You see, if David Cameron was calling you a closet racist until today, and if Michael Howard was saying you're all extremists, or lots of you are extremists, it's no wonder that, you know, a social worker might have alarm bells ringing, is it? It might not be the social worker's fault that an alarm went off when they heard Ukip, given what very senior politicians have been saying about Ukip.
I agree. The real villains of the piece are the leaders of the Labour and Conservative parties who have vilified UKIP for all that we've stood for, who've attempted to close down debate on open-door immigration, and who still refuse to have a proper debate about the fact that we're about to open the door even wider to Romania and Bulgaria. And what I want from this is not just an apology from David Cameron, not just an admission from Ed Miliband that their policy was a mistake. What I want from this are these people to be given back their full fostering rights, to be given back the 3 children who, by the way, were learning English and were doing very, very well. And I want, you know, their records to be absolutely cleared so they can carry on doing what they've been doing very well.
You see, well, what feels a little distasteful to some people about this whole story is that it all seems wrapped up with a by-election, that UKIP could benefit from this, that's why the Conservatives and the Labour Party have been leaping on it as an issue and saying that, you know, that on the face of it seems indefensible, and that people, all of you, are playing politics with the lives of 3 vulnerable young children.
I will not have that. I was first alerted to this story on Tuesday, and my concern since Tuesday has been how can these people clear their name and get back on the fostering register. These events only took place last week. It was last week the children were removed. That timing isn't my timing, it isn't UKIP's timing, that was the timing chosen by Rotherham Council.